G'day YouTube, how are we all doing? It is Foul Play here, and we're going to be having some fun here today. So Leyline of the Guildback is taking the world by storm, and one of the questions that's come to my mind, and hopefully your minds as well, is can we utilize this card? So I've got here a deck list. I ran one previous league with this deck, a little bit of a different version, but what I've got here is a deck list. Utilizing Blessing of the Nephilim. So this card with Leyline of the Guild backed on the battlefield is going to give our creature +5/+5, which is pretty ridiculous. So we start with Guild Pact in play, hexproof creature on turn 1. We're potentially attacking for 11 on turn 2 with Blessing, so that's pretty OP. Outside of that, there's not that many cards we can really utilize. Probably the best of the bunch is Favor of the Overbeing. It gives our creature either 1/1 and vigilance if it's green, or if it also has, the blue coloring, it gets 1/1 flying, so it will have 2/2 vigilance flying. So not quite Daybreak Coronet spec, but also kind of nice to have a little bit of extra vigilance in the deck as well, a little bit of extra flying. So the only other aura of note really is Edge of Divinity. For 1 mana, it could potentially give you a creature 3/3, which is reasonable. I just don't think this card is really super strong if Leyline of Guild Pact is removed. And I think our auras are a little bit competitive, slot-wise here. Having run the deck in one league, or a version of the deck in one league, you really do need a way to push that damage over the top, such as trample, flying, protection from creatures, or else you're just in a little bit of trouble. So I think we still want our Hyena Umbras as well. Of course, we still want our Ethereal Armors and our Daybreak Coronets. Now, you'll notice in the list there is no Light Paws, no Core Spirit Dancer, no Invisible Stalker. Invisible Stalker seemed a bit janky to me. I did actually try that in the previous gameplay. So instead I've got here Toadstool Admirer. So a 1 mana 1/1 with Ward 2. This could be complete trash, but I think I want to try it. One thing I don't want to do is have a good leyline hand and have to mulligan a whole heap. So if we're on the play, Toadstool Admirer would be quite good. On the draw, it's probably a bit worse. So hopefully we're not going to get absolutely destroyed from that. Alright, so the land base is quite important to talk about. And that's because we've got Leyline Binding in the sideboard. So in matchups where we're bringing Leyline Binding in as interaction for our opponents, we're going to want to be able to get our domain happening without Leyline of the Guild Pact. So we've gone pretty hardcore on the fetch lands here. We've got 8 fetch lands between the Windswept Heath and the Flooded Strand. We've also got the usual Temple Garden, but 1 Breeding Pool, 1 Savai Triome. So both the Breeding Pool and the Savai Triome are fetchable off of our 8 fetch lands, which is really nice. And then, the only lands in the deck that don't give any domain effect outside of Leyline of the Guild Pact being on the battlefield are the Horizon Canopies. I think they were good enough that we just keep them in there. Downside here is the mana base can get pretty painful if we don't have Leyline of the Guild Pact, so we might need to, start ripping Daybreak Coronets to gain health against other aggro decks. So sideboard wise, a little bit interesting. I mean, Leyline of Sanctity, Grief Meta, of course that's going to be in there. Leyline Binding, which we touched on before, good interaction. Force of Vigor, also good interactions for artifacts and enchantments. And then we've got our protection package. So, there's less totem armor in the deck currently, so I think Slip Out the Back is actually quite a reasonable shout here. Phase our creature out and, grow it pretty nice. And then Stubborn Denial to help protect our Leyline of the Guild Pact. For opponents running around with Force of Vigor, we can just Stubborn Denial that Force of Vigor, and they're 2 for 1 themselves and, not interacted with the battlefield. So that's the deck, guys. Bit of a long one. Let's get into the league. Alright, so match number 1 here, and we lost at our roll versus Zaddy. We got a pretty capable hand, short of having our creature ripped out of it. Looking pretty good. Alright, so Snow Swamp into nothing from our opponent. We're pretty happy about that. Top deck Guild Pack off, top of our library. Not as happy for that one. We'll just scout and pass. And our opponent's played out Gifted Aetherborn. That doesn't seem very good, but decks like this could have like Shouldered's Edict and cards like that, which obviously are good against us. Alright, so a Flooded Strand. I think we're happy enough to get just a basic Plains here. Another Temple Garden seems a little bit aggressive. Leyline Bindings are in the sideboard, so we don't have to worry about Leyline Guild Pact. And we'll just play like a normal Hexproof deck for now and not let our opponent in on the gimmick. And of course, 2024 Liliana of the Veil main deck. It's pretty normal stuff. We do get our Rancor back. If there's no creature on top of our library, it's pretty much over. We need to be able to crack this Liliana of the Veil and hope there's not a follow-up Edict effect. Alright, Windswept Teeth and no Dried Arbor in the deck, so I think we're going to go ahead and concede the game here for entertainment purposes. Alright, so obviously we're going to be wanting our Leyline of Sanctities against an Edict deck. I think Slip Out the Back's a good nod as well, just because Shouldered Edict is going to be a pretty big wrecking for us, and it's, or is it Shouldered Edict which doesn't target and is each opponent, or is that a different one? Anyway, there's Edict effects which don't target players at 2 mana, and we need to be aware of them. So Leyline of the Guild Pact seems like a pretty easy side out. I think if we're siding out Leyline of the Guild Pact, favor of the Overbeing becomes a lot worse. There's potential that Toadstool Admirer isn't very good here. While we're in the play, we might be able to do something cheesy with it. But in the meantime, I think it's like fine just to leave in and try to race our opponent. And we've got a no creature hand here, so we're going to throw this one. This got a creature, no white mana. I think we're supposed to keep this. I'm kind of not hugely happy about it. Let's get rid of the duplicate Leyline of Sanctity. Our opponent shouldn't have interaction for Leylines unless they're splashing, but we'll see. So obviously, like, no white mana is not good. We do actually just find it off the top there. Go ahead and play this one. Keeping it off the strength of, like, Leyline of Sanctity, right? That's what we're doing. I think we hold up, Slip Out the Back. Maybe not. Maybe that's silly. Yeah, I probably just jam Bogle there. Bit of poor sequencing on my part. Douthie from our opponent. That's fine. Rancor off the top. Okay. So, because at this point, we're just enchanting our Bogle. An attack for 4 is pretty reasonable. And no blocks from our opponent. 18 plays 15. Alright, and our opponent is on a bit of mega jank. Cabal Coffers into Phyrexian Arena. This could get out of hand pretty quickly. And we'll, like, assert our protection this turn, right? So, oh, that's kind of awkward. Servitrium cannot play Bogle. It wouldn't have mattered if I played out Bogle when I was supposed to. I think at this point, we're just holding up Slip Out the Back and racing with our Slippery Bogle. And this one's mostly redundant. Yeah, I think we play around Damnation and keep the Hyena Umbra around. So a deck like this with, Phyrexian Arena, Cabal Coffers, they're definitely going to have Shouldered to negate a lot of this life loss. And it looks like they're just going for something chunky right now. Alright, so it's just a Phyrexian Obliterator, and we deal damage to it. We sacrifice that many permanents. That seems pretty bad. So is there a way around this? Like, blink, blink, draw an aura, blink, blink. Phase our opponent's creature out on the blocking step twice. Yeah, I think that's our route. Strangely enough. Daybreak Coroner off the top. We can't play that one. No double white with this hand. Alright, let's go ahead, see if we can get our opponent. Alright, go ahead and grow our opponent's Phyrexian Obliterator while, putting protection down and all of that sort of stuff. But our opponent's on 6, 5 as soon as they draw with Phyrexian Arena. Another Douthie from our opponent, a Liliana of the Veil. We'll see if they misclick here. They just plus. That's perfectly reasonable. So now they've got a chump blocker. We can't necessarily kill them. I think we definitely want to keep Slip Out the Back. If we draw white mana, Daybreak Coronet, it's better to keep. If not, we might need Bogle as a chump blocker for this thing, but it's got Trample. This is all like discard is dependent on whether or not our opponent attacks with the Obliterator or not, right? Because we're on a virtual 9. I think we just discard the Bogle. Alright, so our opponent is only attacking with Douthie. So white mana or an aura that adds 2 power to our creature. That's not it. Assume our opponent doesn't block with Douthie Voidwalker and see if we can get them again. I think they do just block with it and we're dead to crackback. Alright, looks like our opponent's made a mistake and they've just single blocked. So let's go ahead and do the exact same thing. Phase out that Obliterator. Trample the 4 damage, and they're dead to their Phyrexian Arena on upkeep. Alright, so beating up on new players when we don't really deserve to win the match. We'll take this one to a game 3. Going into game 3, having seen their top end, we're definitely going to want a couple of copies of Leyline Binding. I might even bring in 3 copies. Since Leyline Guildpack's in the sideboard, Blessing's a bit weaker. I think Toadstool Admirer is very weak on the draw here as well. Alright, and, you know, opponent mulligans to 6. We've got a Leyline Bogle hand. Gonna need a little bit of help off the top of our library, but our interaction's a little bit better than last game. We've also got the Horizon Canopies to help cycle us to more action. Big question here is which land to lead on. Oh god. We're not going to have double white on turn 2. I guess it's just 1 point of damage. I could be like costing myself a life here, but if we draw like an Ethereal Armor, we're definitely going to want to double aura and be aggressive, so we'll take that extra point. And Gifted Aetherborn from our opponent. We don't care about this one. Hopefully an aura so we can attack through it. Slip out the pack. That's not what we're looking for, right, team? Alright. So, I honestly think Leyline Binding is not worth using on Gifted Aetherborn. We've seen their top end. It gets a lot scarier than that. So we're going to just hold this one back. Pass the turn, no attacks. Phyrexian Arena. Alright. It begins. And our opponent decides to go on blocking duty. We find an aura, which is nice. Let's go ahead and Blessing here. So that's quite nice as well. It gives +2/+2 to our creature. I mean, it's not like super incredible because we're essentially attacking for like a net 2 each turn at the moment with Gifted Aetherborn doing what it does. If we had blue mana, we could maybe like flicker this, get a block blowout. It's maybe a bit like aggressive though. Alright, and Phyrexian Obliterator from our opponent. I was going to cycle this Canopy end step. I guess, wait, we can't really Leyline Binding. We have 1 colored mana source, so currently this costs 5 to remove the Obliterator. Alright, I think we'll have 4. I think we're digging currently. Alright, not what we're looking for. Come on, mana. Oh goodness. Yeah, this mana base is being a bit rough to us on this one. Alright, so we can't attack here. Fortunately, like our opponent can't attack either because our crackback's pretty strong. So at the moment, we're just facing the fact that they're getting a lot of card advantage each turn while still at a healthy life total. Gatekeeper Malakar, not kicked. Wow, this is an absolute throwback here. Another Leyline Binding. Are we only able to draw cards in our deck which are dead? Pretty embarrassing. Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Okay. That's going to be draining us for a fair chunk. We're all the way down to 5. Big yikes. Okay. What does this mean? We're just dead? Block here. Sack a heap of permanents. 3 in hand. So we have to block the big one. Let's just check that this, I guess we have to declare blocks first because I've clicked through that step. No? Oh, okay, cast instant. Client's like being slow here. So this does cost 5 currently. Only 3 mana. Alright. I have no idea what's going to get us out of this one, but it's probably not another slip out the back, right? We sacrificed 6 permanents? What? Oh no. Yeah, we do too. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, no, this is just over. We have to sacrifice everything. And then we don't have a board state. Open to like Thoughtseize tearing our hand apart. That doesn't happen. You know, third copy of Leyline Binding. Well, we almost called that one, but not quite. Alright, GG's to our opponent, on to the second round. Alright, welcome back to match number 2. We lost the Darrell. Our opponent is mulliganing to 6. We've got a no land hand here, so we'll have to do the same. Looking at my opponent's history, it looks like they play an Affinity deck. Just that's also splashing for Gigantha as well. We finally find a keepable hand here, ditch Toadstool, ditch a Daybreak, and the rest of this is pretty reasonable. And that's a pretty slow start from our opponent, thankfully for us. Alright, straight into a Glade Cover Scout, passing back. Cranial Plating, so our opponent's setting up again, and we're pretty happy about that, right? Alright, so we give 1/1 Trample. It's probably about the same as playing out the Hyena Umbra. We don't really have a need for blue mana, so we can just respect our life total a little bit. Favor, throw down, get that Trample, Vigilance, pardon me, and attack in. Alright, well, we see a Haywire Might, we see a Frogmite, see a Thoughtcast, and these Haywire Mites are going to be frustrating. I did take out my Stony Silencers from the sideboard in favor of Summon Niles, so Haywire Might could be a bit frustrating. Ethereal Armor off the top. Triome has to come into play tapped. Okay, I just can't even cast anything. The client is so slow right now. I'll do a restart and sideboarding. Okay, so we can go ahead and attack here. Our opponent's Frog Knight is pretty big. We have 2 instances of first strike. Our opponent lets us get the Vigilance, but they're obviously going to take away the Ethereal Armor with the Haywire Might. And then there's still no really good blocks for them. Alright, so no blocks from our opponent, and they just take the damage, oddly enough. Alright, so I guess I won't play out my Survive Triome. I was really expecting this one to get cracked off. My mistake, guys. And then, like, I just respawn second main. Just with the client being glitchy, I was trying to, like, yield and, you know, not BM or anything. Thought Monitor, Welding Jar, Companion. Alright, there's a bit of good stuff there. An attack for 10. And nothing from our opponent. Grispan off the top. It's pretty reasonable. Play this before we forget. The flying, not flying. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy throwing down Grispan here, waiting a turn on the Daybreak Coronet. Coronet has Welding Jar, but Regenerate has the wording of, like, remove this creature from combat, so we can't be, like, blocked out, remove Hyena Umbra, Regenerate, and then, like, damage across. The damage will just fade because it's removed away from combat. Alright, so what are we going after, opponent? Alright, so they're going to take away the Ethereal Armor. Takes our creature to, you know, 4 power. They've got a couple of flyers, so we're still pretty happy about that. Seems like weird sequencing. Maybe they didn't realize we had flying. Otherwise, there's like a blocking blowout that can happen. So, doesn't even seem like the best block at that point. All right, we'll see if our opponent has another copy of a Wire Might here. The list I'm seeing only had 1 copy. Could be Shadow Spear to remove Hexproof and like Otawara Bounce in future turns. Thought Monitor. Alright, so we just see like another Urza's Saga. I think they got a Springleaf Drum off of the Urza's Saga that triggered that turn. And more gas. Alright, so throw down. Notably, they've still got this on their on a non-flying creature. They've only got 2 flying creatures on the battlefield currently. We start getting our life now, which is really good for us. Alright, so opponent's going to regenerate their Thought Monitor. Looks like we still gain the life, which is pretty handy. Makes sense with the wording. And a Thought Cast. Opponent, 4 cards in hand. Ornithopter. Man, they just keep coming. What I wouldn't give for a bit of evasion in form of trample or protection from creatures right now. Alright, 11 power construct. We can definitely take that. We got plenty of life to play with. I'm going to just minimize the Giganta there. Hey, look! Finally! Trample! Let's go, team. Notably, like, cranial plating could have been equipped across and threatened, like, 22 damage. So I think that was a misplay on our opponent's part. I don't see why this is still equipped to Frogmite. I guess they're just going for Construct Tribal. Yeah, so they decided that over the cranial plating. I think our opponent plays a fair bit of the deck, so the likelihood of them misplaying is maybe a bit less, and wishful thinking on my end. Shadow Spear, equip. Yep, he's chunky. We've got 2 lots of Hyena Umbra, so if we have to like chump block, we can. That's all good. Cranial plating, equip, 27 damage, sure. So our opponent's attacking with everything. Let's count ourselves on like 33 life, just after our life gain. So currently we're seeing 27, 13. So if we block this 13 creature here, we'll be on 33. There'll be 2, 6, 10, 14, plus 27 is 41. I think they've got us through Army of Grossness. This one, of course, has Trample, so it's most life effective for us to block the 13-13 construct, of course, if the client lets me. Alright, so I think we're on like -10 or something. Yeah, -10. Yeah, this one has Trample, so obviously that's not going to work. Alright, so here we can see a copy of our opponent's deck from a previous league. We saw most of what they were up to there. Notably in the sideboard, we can see Haywire Mites, Dispatches, Galvanic Blast, Wear Tears. We're in like a little bit of an awkward spot because we took the Stony Silencers out and they'd be like super OP here. Reminder guys, if you enjoy this content, find it entertaining or informative, please consider subscribing. So definitely we're going to want our Force of Vigor and Leyline Binding interaction. I think Slip Out the Back is reasonable as well. Notably, if you exile a token like our opponent's Construct token, it doesn't have exile wording on it. It doesn't have removed. It just like phases out back in, so the token won't actually get exiled forever. Alright, so starting out is probably the more difficult decision tree. I think Toadstool Admirer here, particularly on the play, should be fine. Question is, if we're bringing in Leyline Binding, we will probably want Leyline Guild Pact. Flying's probably fine. Yeah, cuts seem hard here. Alright, so I've decided we want to remove our Leyline Guild Pact. So at that point, our decision tree is what's better out of like Favor of the Overbeing and Blessing of Nifilm. Both of them will give a green creature 1/1, and both of them will give a Bogle 2/2. So they're sort of pretty similar. I think the extra vigilance could probably tip it just in the favor of taking out the blessings. Hopefully we don't get like completely screwed mana-wise here. With the Horizon Canopy, Leyline Binding interactive hand. Alright, no creature hand. Mulligan that one. Survive Triome means we can't play our creatures. That's the one mana that can't actually play any of our creatures. So we're down to 5. Opponent's on 6. This looks like a keep. So Ditch Scout, keep Bogle. I think it's Bogle, Spirit Moundle, Double Land, Leyline Binding. Or we remove 1 land. Probably not. Alright, let's hope the top of our library is semi-kind to us. We're not going to be able to Spirit Mantle on turn 2. It's going to have to be a turn 3 Spirit Mantle because Trium's going to enter in tapped. I think that's probably fine. Alright, so pretty quick start for our opponent. 4 cards on turn 1. Another Bogle off the top. Definitely not what we're looking for. So we can play another Bogle out ourselves, and then it's going to just be an end-step Priome. I think that's fine. I think we want Leyline and Binding online properly, and we don't want to get tricky and Spirit Mantle for less domain. Cranial Plating. I will say, Survive Triome is, like, Leyline Binding is reasonable into Welding Jar versus, like, our other stuff we got going on, right? Okay, so, you. This. Alright, so opponent floats the mana, gets the Springleaf Drum off the Urza's Saga. No construct tokens this time. Plays another Urza's Saga. 2 cards in hand. Thought Monitor is cast. So even if we remove that, the draw probably resolves, is my understanding of that wording. I think we just exile the Cranial Plating here. Now note, like, if our opponent has Wear Tear in a future turn, oh really? What have we got going on here? Some sort of protection? Metallic Rebuke? Really? God, that's bad for us. Okay. Alright, we're taking damage. Maybe we resolve a Daybreak Coroner after that though, so maybe we're happy. Not a Daybreak Coroner. So like Gingerbread just gets like unblockable and then our opponent attacks us for the win. Yeah. Okay, so like re-pulling up our opponent's deck, there are actually 4 Metallic Rebukes in their main deck. So it's something that I just missed when I was glancing at their deck list for interactive effects. Yeah, so this is well and truly lethal. Because we'll do the thing and let them attack for a big chunk. Oh, you're not attacking with Gingerbread? Aha! We got you now, opponent. Alright, so not the best start to the league. Let's see how we can do in the final 3 games. Alright, so we finally won a die roll. Got this no creature hand we're going to be throwing back. Got this other no creature hand we're going to be throwing back. Alright, we're down to 4. Hey, look. A hand with a creature and land in it. Holy crap. Okay, so ditch. Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. Advantage, of course, keeping, you know, a 7-card hand, so that's just a little bit terrifying. Boreal Grazer, a 7-card hand against Amulet Titan? You gotta be kidding me, man. We are gonna get slapped here. And just as I say that, they play Kessick Wolfrun, and they're probably not Amulet Titan. Okay. So Rancor attack for 3. I hope to hit land drops in future. Boreal Grazer has done its job. Goodbye, my friend. Alright. Amulet of Vigor deck with Kessick Wolfrun. That's new. Copying our temple. Spicy. Hey, look, an aura. This is about equal to Ethereal Armor at this point, but Ethereal Armor gets better later. I'm going to Blessing now because it looks like our opponent's holding up interaction. Could be a Beseiju. Alright, so we just get in for 5 damage, no interaction. Alright, and our opponent goes ahead and a bit of mana into an Elesh Norn. We find Leyline of the Guild pack. So hopefully our opponent doesn't have Leyline Bindings coming up soon. It would be weird with this mana base, but I mean, obviously if they have a card like Dryad of Lycian Grove in play, all their lands gain all land types, and they can just Leyline Binding for free. But I think we're okay here. Of course, our opponent's just got double triggers on the line now, thanks to Elesh Norn. And this could very easily just be prime time we die. Okay. Yep. Turn Timber into prime time? Okay, that's crazy as heck. Alright, we're in trouble. Mirror Pool and Gruul Turf. I want to see the payoff. Is this just a different Titan deck, or is this a is there some other kill condition here? Alright, so we see them with like Talaria West, Otawara, still in their main phase, so they can like transmute Summoner's Pact, transmute explosives. Oh, so Mirapole just copied their prime time? Okay. Terrifying. This time we see Valakut and the haste guy. The haste attack triggers, probably Kessig Wolf run pumps and we die. They just have another hand in land in hand? No. Oh, I think they got 2 primetime triggers, so they got this on the first one, and this time they get Beseiju. Alright, I'm going to concede. We've seen enough here. Alright, so going into sideboarding, we can see a few bits and pieces, so like fairly standard looking deck outside of the fact like Elish Norn is in here. We can see One Ring, which is standard for Titan these days. I think like the Explorer and Turn Timbers are unique to this type of Titan deck. Spelunking, Dragonlord, Dramoka, yikes. Generous Ant, explosives in the side. So it doesn't look like they had explosives in the main, but we did see them find the Beseiju, which is obviously pretty bad for us. If this deck doesn't have any Force of Vigors, I'm very happy about that though. Alright, so Force of Vigor is probably good here. We're versing Amulet, right? Slip out the back, Stubborn Denial, Leyline Binding all have times where I think they would be good, but also they could be really awkward. So like Leyline, answer our opponents like Amulet, same as Force. Slip out the back, dodge an explosive. Stubborn Denial, counter a Force of Vigor if it's in the deck, counter a Summoner's Pact. All of them just like hit parts of our opponent's deck without being complete silver bullets, so that's kind of frustrating. Alright, so I think we probably want the Leyline Bindings just because it hits Amulet. Favor of the Overbeing and Spirit Mantle, these cards seem slow to me, so I think they probably come out. I think Stubborn Denial is not that good. Maybe slip out the back if we can find room for it. But that's a pretty big if at this point, I think. Maybe like 2 Daybreaks out because they're like weak to Beseiju interaction. Form of a little bit of protection. What do we got here? Leyline Binding is pretty bad. This is essentially a 6-card hand. This is a 6-card hand which is reasonable though. No interaction with our opponent, no second land drop though. If we break on land drop, we're in a pretty bad spot. I think we look to do better. Okay, this will be a keep. I reckon I'll keep the slip out the back as interaction. This is like awkward. I think we ditched Leyline Binding and just assume protecting our creature is going to be good later on versus interacting with our opponent maybe at an awkward timing. I think Leyline Binding is better when Leyline Guild Pack's on the battlefield and you can like turn 1 remove an Amulet. Like answering an Amulet on turn 3 or 4 is going to do nothing and prime times just get chained by that point. Alright, never didn't have it. I guess we play around in explosives. Of course, we're in that really awkward spot where we didn't hit our land drops and now all our tempo and agency is gone and we probably just lose this game based off of that entirely. Our opponent did keep another 7-card hand, so that doesn't strike fear into us. I don't know what will. Rite of Lycian Grove. Alright. Well, Force of Vigor would be good, but no green card in hand, so everything seems terrible and I hate it. Maybe they just don't have a follow-up. Yeah, I mean, not sure what we're looking for, but Toadstool Admirer definitely is not it at this point. We do Ethereal Armor attack. We do Brick on our land drop again. I guess Toadstool Admirer maybe future Force Pitch. We'll see if we even last that long. It's turn 3 and Amulet's on tapping, so we're probably dead. Alright, so our opponent's like hitting a bunch of mana with their Chamberland here. Boreal Grazer, more mana again. This looks like just a natural cast of Primetime. Yep, so Primetime. Primetime will get haste. Uh, so it's like Valakut can get haste with Hannover battlements. And then on the attack step, we start taking Titan damage via like more copies of Valakut just entering. I think we're just dead if our opponent plays it right. And they've been playing pretty quickly and from what I can see optimally so far. Alright, so Vesuva bounce lands, so they're going to probably bounce the Boseiju at the end of all of this, but damage to the face, that's 12 damage to the face, right? Plus damage on the creatures. Alright, that's 20 damage total, and then they'll probably play something second main, so... well, good games. Our opponent had the nuts, 7-card hands both times, and we couldn't even hit our second land drop. Alright, match number 4, and we won the die roll. We've got a keepable 7-card hand. Blessing's a little bit weak here, but our other cards are reasonable. Alright, so turn 1, Glade Cover Scout off the Temple Garden. Just modern things. Oh god, looks like we're versing a control deck. I swear to god. I mean, we gotta put this on top. Watch this get, like, Stern Scolding next turn, and then we'll just concede, and is that a drop from the league at that point? Who knows? Yeah, just holding up that Stern Scolding for us opponent, aren't you? Hey, we actually resolve a creature, though. That's nice. Alright, Surveil Land. Who said Blue Moon was dead? We're going to be in a lot of trouble if our opponent does play Blood Moon, though. Surveil to the top on that one. Breeding Pool. What on earth is our opponent doing? Is this just like a Rhinos deck? Living End deck with Scion package? Probably. The ice, our opponent taps down our green mana. Hey look, green mana. Our opponent did stop us from resolving a Daybreak Coronet this turn, which could be annoying. I think if this is Rhinos and we resolve a Daybreak Coronet, we'll just win this one, right? Alright, so we see Gemstone Mines into Shardless Agent, finds the Rhinos, Lauren revealed, Fire Ice, yep. That is a Rhinos deck. We dodge Force of Negation, then this resolves, which would of course be amazing. Alright, we resolve our Daybreak Coronet. Now I'm not expecting any main deck Force of Vigor, so let's just attack on in. Alright, damage is through, no blocks from our opponent. Now, like, blocks here could get blown out by Petty Theft, right? So that seems... Blocks on Shardless Agent are fine, though. Yeah, I think we blocked the Shardless Agent. Ah, our opponent saw it. Alright, well, there's no need to interact with what our opponent's doing there. Let's take the damage. Once we have a bigger, less vulnerable Bogle or Scout to interaction, we can then, like, start worrying about blocking, but for now, not happy about that one. Opponent representing Violent Outburst. Bogle off the top. Not best. Alright, so we will be attacking in for 9 points of damage. Jump block from the opponent. End step, Violent Outburst. Yep. Alright, opponent sending in with the squad of Rhinos. We're going to go ahead and block with the Scout on one of these boys. Maybe double Petty Theft. It seems fairly unlikely, though. I think we'll see one Petty Theft. Violent Outburst, sure. So, third stack of Rhinos. It's fine. We see Trishana's Tidebinders of note in the exiled stack. Outside of that, like, still looks pretty standard. I don't see any Scions in there currently. And we draw a Scout. That's not what we're looking for. Get a redraw. Trample. Nope, just janky creatures for us at the moment. Alright, attack for 9. Our opponent will chump block. I think we're just at a win if they're not going to have interaction, though. Well, who knows what'll happen post-board. No attacks from our opponent. Love to see it. Alright. Well, I will attack. kind of frustrating. But we'll go in, we'll attack. I assume one Daybreak Coronet gets removed, and maybe we lose a Hyena Umbra. But our opponent's used up 3 Crushing Footfalls. Wow, here's the 4th. Okay. That's all the Rhinos we're gonna see. Alright, so we can kill 2 Rhinos. Our opponent's left with 4. We lose Hyena Umbras off of Totem Armor. We keep our creature. Alright, and the squad is thrown in front of our precious little scout. Yeah, blocking order does not matter here. Damage happens, 20 damage back. Play you. We'll play the Temple Garden tapped. We'll leave the Toadstool Admirer, like, just chilling. Shardless Agent. Well, this one surely fails to find, right? I'm just going to clear this stack so we can get a fresh look. Yeah, so nothing to cascade into. Find Horizon Canopy. Let's cycle that one. Find more mana. Alright. Attacking here is actively bad. I guess I should have just played the Leyline of the Guild pack because it gives our creature +4/+4, and then we could have attacked. So I think that's a pretty bad misplay from me. Apologies. Alright, another Shardless Agent. I think we're fine, right? If that's the play. Alright, so let's do what we should have done last turn. Leyline of the Guild Pact. Have you got a Force of Negation? No Force of Negation. Alright, let's attack for 12 now. Alright, that should have been last turn, but we'll do it now instead. Opponent concedes. So it looks like this opponent opted for Tishana Tidebound Mages in the slot of where Brazen Borrower would normally be. And they weren't able to Otawara an enchantment to our hands, so we're going to take game 1 against all odds. Alright, so here's a Cascade deck, Cascade Rhinos, but we just saw pretty much the whole deck in action just there. Cascade effects, any of these Crashing Footfalls. I don't think our opponent's going to have Scion in their package because we didn't see Leyline Binding that whole game from them. Oh, sorry, Leyline of the Guild Pack that whole game from them. So things to be scared of, like Magus of the Moon, Force of Vigor, Mystical Dispute, maybe Brazen Borrower as well, if that's still played. Alright, so Stubborn Denial has to be good for us. I don't really think we want Slip Out the Back. Force of Vigor just seems like a no-go. Maybe we'll bring in Stubborn Denial over the Favor of the Overbeing, which I actually think has been pretty average so far this game. Or this league, rather. Alright, opponent mulligans to 6. We will join them. We're on 5. Okay, we see a keepable 5. So we'll ditch 1 land drop. And 1 blessing. Alright, that'll do us. Find another Rancor off the top. That's frustrating. I don't want to be vulnerable to, like, a Magus of the Moon coming down. But this incentivizes me to just go extra Temple Garden and just assume they don't have it. So I guess that's what we have to do. Unless we see another land drop here. Changes my mind. That is not another land drop. Alright, so double Rancor. Won't have any trouble with Trample this turn. And that's an attack for 5. Life totals are even. Blessing off the top, not the greatest. Does Daybreak resolve, or is there a Mystical Dispute? Daybreak resolves. Alright, beautiful. We're definitely attacking. We're not afraid of Rhinos at this point. This Rhinos plus Force of Vigor could be pretty strong. But I think we're just attacking and assuming our opponent doesn't have that no matter what. Beautiful. Our opponent takes the damage. They're on 7. Fetching to 6. Alright. Not very informative Cascade there. That's a Mutavault. What? Surely not. Alright, so Blessing. think it's pretty obvious our opponent has like another violent outburst here, so we can kill 2 creatures, then we like die on crackback to the 4th Rhino. I guess we just empty our hand and pass turn, look to draw something better. No end step violent outburst from our opponent. Is that indicative of a Force of Vigor instead? Blue mana would be good. You're not blue mana. What do we see? Yep, that sounds about right. Alright, well, we can actually play that next turn. Yeah. I'd like to play that with Stubborn Denial back up, though, I think. I think we can play that and just not attack. But if our opponent's next interaction is a Force of Vigor, we lose both Daybreak Coronets and our creature just dies to a block. Alright, our opponent has suspended Crushing Footfalls. Am I just playing like Terrified for nothing? Probably. At this point, I'm just going to attack. If there's a blowout. There's a blowout. Oh, what are we thinking about here? I guess our opponent didn't have Force of Vigor initially when we attacked and they cascaded into these Rhinos. Maybe they're just bluffing. And they can't really attack into a Daybreak Lake Cover Scout anyway. That is an activate on Mutavault. Alright, and the squad is blocking. So what does this mean? Currently 12 damage. Interaction of Force of Vigor would remove both Daybreak Coronets and we're screwed. Interaction of Petty Theft could remove 1 Daybreak Coronet, taking us to 9 power, at which point we could still kill 2 Rhinos. I think this blocking order is fine. Violent Outburst. That doesn't matter. We see 2 Force of Vigors that they've skipped past in the deck there. So I think we just get to trample 2 damage, put our opponent to 3 life. Yep, okay. Alright, opponent passing to us, 4 in hand. We know at least 2 Force of Vigors are on the bottom of their library. Let's attack. I think we attack with Toadstool Admirer as well. See what happens. Alright, blockers are declared. Interaction. There's this Force of Vigor on the Daybreak Coronets. 7 power. That's frustrating as heck. If only we hit blue mana instead of this Leyline here. There's like, what, 9 lots of blue mana in the deck and 4 lots of Leyline bindings. Leyline guild packs, pardon me. Alright, so we get a tiny bit of damage across. Our opponent's on 2 life. Rancor, second main. Oh dear, mother of God. That's a Murktide Regent. Spirit Mantle for the win, right? That's still in the deck, right? Yeah, Spirit Mantle would be nice. Opponent attacking for 4. I think we gave our opponent a lot of time to get back into this an extra turn or 2 by not attacking into a potential Force of Vigor or a potential second Cascade nonsense. Okay, so that's blue mana. But we still can't attack our opponent because we've got this big wall to deal with. Alright, Crushing Footfalls down to 1 time counter. Oh, our opponent's attacking with Murktide Regent? No, come on, man. Reduce the clock. You know you want to. Negative on that. They're attacking with the Rhino. We're all collectively disappointed. Alright, so Cracking Land. Just going to be a breeding pool. Get our blue mana. Ready for interaction. Alright, so opponent did pause a little bit on that fetch, so I think they were actually thinking through removing our creature. Alright, so play a scout and pass. Is this subtlety? Yeah, sure, we're fine with subtlety. That's chill. This can go on the bottom of our library. I think we're supposed to stubborn denial our opponent's crushing footfalls coming off suspend this turn. It means we don't have like force of vigor interaction. Can I not cast this? What do you mean? Why can't I cast this? Alright, I think I have to click one step further. Okay, cool. Now I can cast this. Does our opponent have a force of negation? Something like that for this. Them not getting the last 2 Rhinos would be huge here. Can really slow the game down. Alright, we deny the Rhinos. Beautiful. 4 cards in hand still. I'd love to see a Daybreak Coronet or an Ethereal Armor. Spirit Mantle. And we're still dodging Force of Vigor. The squad's attacking in. We kill through 1 Subtlety. There's Violent Outburst to pump. There's no more Crushing Footfalls left. That's all of them, right? Or is there one more left? I guess, no, there's one more left, isn't there? Damn it. Okay. That sucks. Okay, I was counting 3 in exile, but the one on suspend was in exile. That does not suck. Can we attack? 8 damage. Dead on crackback. Damn it, man. I think this is on us being a little bit too conservative, playing around stuff. Alright, our opponent blocks properly. We'll concede. So I don't think we're changing anything deck-wise. We'll leave. Favor does give evasion, actually. Maybe we like hedge the evasion. It's only evasion if Guildback's in play. The aggression there's nice. That's a hard here, I think. Alright, I'm gonna, against better judgment, remove the Hyena Umbras because there's no sweeper effects, but it can get dicey if they interact with our creatures. Instant speed. Guess we keep this one. This hand could be a lot better, but it's... Hopefully we draw auras and we're happy. Even like a Leyline Binding on curve to enable the flying would be pretty nice. We do have our colors though outside of Leyline. We can cycle a Horizon Canopy. This game. I think I'm on Temple Garden here. Another subtlety. Oh god. Ditching Murktide Regent. Probably a better ditch than Flame of Venor. So of course this is going on top of our library. Looks like we got a turn 1 suspend on the Crushing Footfalls. Hey look, a Glade Cover Scout. Fancy seeing you here. Got another subtlety? No. Alright. I think Ethereal Armor's fine. Makes things slightly nicer later on, potentially. Right, let's go for that. Yeah, this sets up nicer into either drawing Stubborn Denial or bluffing Stubborn Denial. Suspends another Crushing Footfalls. And I say that and then I just go like straight into playing the wrong land. Okay. Don't mind me, guys. Like super out of practice and super full of misplays. Alright, so attacking. 4 vigilance. Let's get in there. That one works out. Guess we'll play our other creature. Our opponent fetched into Thundering Falls, Surveil to the top. Hopefully that's not interaction. Something like a land that they might need. Okay. Thank you, deck. I think we'll start by... Let's shock in the Breeding Pool. Fetch the Horizon Canopy. Yeah, that sounds about right. Alright, well, no Simian Spirit Guide in Modern, so I guess we just attack for 5 points of damage. Doesn't really matter where we sequence the Admirer. I've represented Stubborn Denial by Shocking here, so they might not want to Force of Vigor if we're lucky. They go for it anyway. Maybe if I Toadstool Admirer as second main, they don't. Spirit Mantle. That's a pretty good one, really. I think we go in on the Bogle. Although I might be growing the Toadstool Admirer at some point in this game. And the jig is probably up with Windswept Teeth, with like not having Stubborn Denial, because we would have done it last time. So I think playing land here is fine. So the upside of Spirit Mantle and Bogle is if we draw Blessing of Nephila. I guess we're still like a Leyline of the Guild Pact away from it being OP though. Alright, that's terrifying. Shardless Agent finds more Rhinos. So next turn we have one more lot of Rhinos coming off Suspend as well. They do have the Sweeper effect in this game. We'll crack this one. Triome. God damn it, deck. Why does this have to be what we draw? Creatures and mana, like one aura. That is very frustrating. It's on 12. We're currently facing 8, 16, 17, 18 damage. Sounds about right. Well, we can't attack. Alright, we got our 2/2s and our 1/1, and I guess we'll try to do something. Now they're Crushing Footfalls here. So I don't think it matters how we block. I think we're dead. If we block like this, that's 4 trampled. We're facing another 8 there. So that's exactly 12 damage and we die. That's like the optimal blocking as well. I'm not even trying to like trade with the Shardless Agent or anything. Alright, well that was kind of an awkward one. Move on to the final match. Alright, welcome back to the 5th and final match here. We've got an interesting hand, because we got our guild packs, we're just missing auras. I think I'm going to risk it. Like, this league's been overall fairly average, so hopefully we can get something exciting going here. Alright, so I guess we'll just play out the Windswept Teeth and just use it to cast Slippery Bogle. Pass the turn. Looks like we're versing Amulet of Vigor. I think we want to put a stop on our turn, on our upkeep, before we draw. Maybe crack this, look for some action. That's not the action we're looking for, is it now? Okay. Temple Garden intapped. Bogle. Back for 1. So, like, a Blessing would be amazing here. Our opponent, like, yeah, just with turn 2 double Amulet. This is pretty gross. Our opponent did at least mulligan to 6, but it's looking like a pretty good 6 so far. Spelunking. Alright, ETB, land on the battlefield, draw a card. And then right at the end, some life gained and all lands untapped. Oh, sorry, that's only life gained if you put a cave onto the battlefield. Explore. Sure. So it feels like they're about to get prime time because I am pretty sure this is 7 mana. Yeah, not even Summoner's Pack, just to have the prime time. Sounds about right. Alright, so Transmute Talaria West is the game plan. So it looks like they're getting more prime times. They get like 3 prime times and they just like attack and win, right? So Talaria West is transmuted, or one can only assume Summoner's Pact, into Titan. Yep, there it is. Oh, Summoner's Pact for a Dryad of Lycian Grove? They get to play an extra land here. That's only 5 mana though. that a mess up? So they played battlements and passed to us, so I guess they just sat up, like, just it's all set up. That's possibly the best card we can draw in that spot. Alright, so here we are, game 5 against Amulet Titan. About to die next turn. We've assembled the Blessing Leyline combo. Attacking for 9 points of damage, going up to 26 points of life. Beautiful stuff. So our opponent is taxed on mana in the upkeep here. Any bounce land and they can, you know, get access to, what's that, another 8 mana, so 9 mana total, potentially. Or just prime time, attack, trigger, get your Valakut, start shooting damage at the face. Will, of course, chump block, Mirapole. So Mirapole can copy target creature for 5 mana. There's a Simic Growth Chamber, so this will be Mirapole copied prime time. Yeah, 5 mana, tap. So this just has to be like double Valakut, give haste, attack, more Valakut, Dryad triggers to the face. It is instead Valakut Otawara. Gonna be like an Otawara bounce Daybreak. Alright, they get Selesnya Sanctuary and Beseiju. Yay! Apparently this deck runs 3 Beseijus. That seems a bit gross. Kestic Wolfrun? Is this like actual main tech now, Amulet Titan? Crazy stuff. Alright, 4 Valakut triggers to the face. And with that we go to 8 life. Beseiju 2 for wanting us. And that's going to be good games to our opponent. Maybe the like right play there is to concede at them targeting the Blessing so they can't like interact with the Daybreak Coronet. Right? Maybe. Alright, maybe we'll hit our Force of Vigors this game as well. That'd be pretty nice. We'll bring in our Forces and our Ley Lines again. I don't really think Stubborn Denial is right. Take out what's slow. So I think we want to leave the Leyline of the Guild Packs in. So I guess it's like Binding Vigor in, Favor Mantle out. Just try to be quick, race our opponent. Hopefully we assemble the combo and everyone's happy. Interaction out the wazoo. No creature, no Leyline. There's Leyline. I think this is good. Bottom of Rancor or Ethereal Armor? Question. I think we just bottom Daybreak. That way we can have like maximum aggression and we're least weak to interaction that our opponent can do. Opponent has kept a 7. Gonna like, yeah, Flooded Strand and Bug to tap for the wrong color there apparently. I can always upkeep, get rid of this fetch land, thin my deck slightly, shuffle Daybreak back in. If there's an Amulet, I might not, because I think I want to see like Leyline Binding. We miss on. Alright, so once again, my green mana is tapping for red. I think this is double Rancor as well. We'll play around Force of Vigors. Alright, so we see Growth Chamber, bit of mana, bouncing the Growth Chamber, explore. Replays the Growth Chamber. This time probably bounces the Keswick Wolfrun, but I'm guessing they'll float the mana first. Oh, it's just a forest. Boreal Grazer. Yep. Alright, this time playing Castle Garenbriggs. So I think they've only got 1 Karoo land in hand. Off of that sequencing. Ethereal Armor off the top. This just has to be the best thing, right? Alright, let's just tap the old-fashioned way, shall we? Hope for no Force of Vigor. If there's no Force of Vigor, we just kill our opponent or put him to, what, 3? Post blocks. So this is worth going for. Alright, blockers happen. Damage happens. Our opponent's on 3. Let's go. Just have to survive one more turn. Turn 3 against Titan. It's do or die. Wraith Chamber. Alright, there's the prime time with an Amulet on the board. I think that they can give this one haste. I think they can then interact with us with one Beseiju. I think we're fine though to that. Because it's just one copy of Amulet, right? And we're fortunately doubled up on these Ethereal Armors and these Rancors, so happy days for us. So we see Gruul Turf and Beseiju. Weird. You'd think they would want to give haste and then Beseiju and be a pain. I think Force of Vigor is coming. And playing this is definitely wise. Alright, so this should make any primetime stuff a little more difficult. Opponent concedes. Cool, we go to one more game. I'm going to just run it back. I don't think we want to change anything. Opponent mulligans to 6. We can't keep this hand. We'll do the same. This hand is keepable, but there's no real interaction. Opponent mulls to 5. I guess we could draw interaction. I think this is a reluctant keep. Bottom the Temple Garden. Hopefully we hit one of our like Force of Vigor's, Leyline Binding, and it's happy days. The fact our opponent's mulliganing to 5 makes me want to keep this. Alright, so we see a turn 1 Arboreal Grazer. We see a real Hexproof guy. I guess a real Hexproof guy is better than one with Ward that eventually grows. Alright, opponent plays out Explore. Hey, missing their land drop? Unfortunately not. A Wraith Chamber. Bounce Beseiju, surely. Yep. And they just replay the Beseiju. Alright. So nothing outrageously sinister. No Amulet stuff. I guess that probably means they have a prime time. We like just can't really even attack here. Not for another turn. Alright, Crumbling Vestige. Floats a mana. Transmute Tolaria West. Okay. Revealing Summoner's Pact. We draw dead again. Okay, I guess we'll just use that mana. Basic Plains is fine. Alright, do you have the interaction, opponent? Choosing to chump block the Toadstool. Taking the damage, no Force of Vigor. Let's go. Like, if they do have Force of Vigor, do they really want to just throw away the Summoner's Pact? Maybe, maybe not. Summoner's Pact. 5 mana, so they must have one more land in hand. Alright, finding prime time. Ah, Castle Garenbrig. Yeah, right. You only need, like, effectively 5 mana with Castle on the battlefield. Neat stuff. Alright, and we see Gruul Turf as a Saga. Returning Beseiju to hand. So future interaction with our enchantments to come. Hopefully we find one more aura, so don't get 2 for 1. Come on deck, don't let us down. That's an aura. Let's play it out. Alright, so Boreal Grazer will be blocking the scout this time, I'm sure. Or just no blocks declared. Interesting. Our opponent needs to pay for Summoner's Pact here now. They still have enough mana to Beseiju after that. Now note our opponent has 3 copies of Beseiju in the deck. So they can just like primetime search out Beseijus on the attack. And we'll be in for a rough time in no time. Alright, so our opponent paying for the mana. Quite particular about which lands they tap for this, by the way. Wait, upkeep? They're just burning 1 mana in the upkeep. Okay. Cool. So our opponent's in an awkward spot here because of the previous Summoners pack. So if they attack with Primeval Titan, they can get more Besieges and start bouncing them to hand, but then they can't like block and blow out our creature, which I think they want to do. We're going to need to find like at least 1 aura off the top of our library. It'd be really, really awkward if they besiege you at Daybreak, and instead of going in on Toadstool Admirer, like we could have done on turn 1, turn 2, they, like, our 5/5 just dies to their 6/6. Dryad of Lycian Grove. So, Dryad of Lycian Grove, primetime attacks, triggers. I guess it's just Valakut antics now. Nerfing our health. Wait. 1 Valakut, 1 Crumbling Vestige. The Crumbling Vestige can add a mana so they can besiege you, take out Daybreak Coronet. So they have to do this before blocks though. Which they do. These aren't blocks I'm really interested in. So go ahead and take that damage. Hopefully we find evasion and we can just kill our opponent. Or like a Leyline Binding. That's sort of evasion. It doesn't kill our opponent though. That just means that a Boreal Grazer has to block. And then we're still in a really rough spot next turn. I think we're just a turn too slow this game. Like, we're so close to getting there, but not quite. Alright, so as the Saga triggers, gets the Amulet. Amulet's going to make things super funky during combat now. I'm pretty sure we're dead on this one. Opponent, Mirror Pools to copy. Yeah, alright, that's surely it. Alright, so now we see some battlements, some Valakuts, some triggers getting pointed at our face. We're going to get like even more than this during combat when both of them turn sideways. This is just the ETB currently. And in fact, we're going to be dead to these triggers before we even get to do anything. The two Valakuts is like 4 triggers here, which is 12 just off the first Titan, and they have a whole nother Titan worth of triggers. Alright, GG's to our opponent. Yeah, this was pretty sad day. Pretty sad outing for our Bogle friends. Alright, so I think we can call this a failed experiment, at least with this particular configuration. With me running Leyline of the Guild Pact, I chose to cut my 2 drop creatures because at that point our aura count is dropped and like we just need the bigger creature than our opponent. And I think not having Light Paws and not having a similar payoff creature in that slot was very detrimental this league. The like assembling Leyline of the Guild Pact Blessing combo is not common enough to make up for that shortfall. Favor of the Overbeing, I thought it looked pretty good on paper. I think it's kind of just a little bit garbage. I think there's one potential different way we can build this deck, which I didn't initially think possible. So if we're bringing in these Scion of Dracos, initially I thought on this card, you know, the keywords are basically useless because we already have pretty much all these keywords, but I think we just want another payoff creature, another like payoff post-interaction with our opponent. So like having more time with this deck, I think this is definitely better in that slot than Favor of the Overbeing. I think at that point we can remove these Toadstool Admirers, but because we're not like a turn 1 combo deck with Leyline Blessing. I also think I probably underestimated that other 1 mana aura I touched on in the deck tech at the start of the league. The white-black one that gives 1/2 or 3/3, depending on colors of white and black. I guess it just gives 0/0 to our creature if Leyline of the Guild Pact isn't in play, though, so that's probably not very good either. So Glee's Scion does give trample, so if we don't have Rancor, that's kind of good. Like, if we're short on auras, this is kind of good. Like, a Bogle with, like, Leyline Blessing is a 6/6, and we might not actually be able to attack that frequently in Modern at the moment. But if we just resolve a Scion of Draco, it's then a 6/6 Vigilance, Lifelink, First Strike, Trample. And that seems a lot better than what I thought initially. Something like this ups the ante and the value of Stubborn Denial, because with Stubborn Denial, we need to protect from Force of Vigor. There are the Evoke interactions, which we're going to be soft to, but I think that's reasonable. And yeah, I think this is like a mostly reasonable place to be. I'm not sure I can have the best read on this deck without having put volume in with the deck. I think with Scion of Draco, it might even be worth just Leyline Binding main deck. If we're getting lifelink from our Leyline of the Guild Pact, maybe Daybreak Coronets become a liability, because if we have like Bogle, Leyline, Scion, other Leyline, and a Daybreak Coronet, we can't cast the Daybreak Coronet. Any of our other auras, however, we can cast. So I think removing at least 2 copies of Daybreak Coronet is probably quite reasonable. I think Spirit Mantle is interesting because it can protect our Scion through, like, assuming Leyline of Guild Pact isn't on the battlefield, Spirit Mantle can protect our Scion from evoke effects, which is quite nice. Griftspoon probably gets slightly worse, given we're bringing in a creature that has flying anyway. Like, if you think of, if we don't have Leyline of the Guild Pact, our only creature is Scion of Draco, what any one aura is going to be good on it? I guess at that point, Blessing is a bit of a nombo with it if we don't have Leyline Guild Pact. I think the upside of Blessing on our other creatures keeps it worthwhile, like, makes it worthwhile keeping that in, though. So then we're looking at, like, Ethereal Armor, Hyena Umbra, Rancor. These cards have reasonable upside. So another card that is better than that Blessing that we ran before is All That Glitters, because like Ethereal Armor, this gives +1/+1 for each enchantment, but it also gives +1/+1 for each artifact. So this on, like, Scion is reasonable, or this on your hexproof creature, play Scion, it gets a buff, is reasonable. I think I'd probably run 2 All That Glitters over Daybreak Coronet in this particular build. For that reason. Weaknesses we're going to see here is there's no native life gain, and there's no native vigilance in the deck, unless we have Scion of Draco. Scion of Draco will give our hexproof creatures only green, so we need Leyline of the Guild Pact as well to start getting vigilance, lifelink, so we might look a bit slow against certain decks at that point. This does come at the advantage of being able to main deck interaction like Leyline Binding, though. I don't know if this is, like, good or not. I think this is worth a playtest, sort of like the last one, and if it turns out to be trash, it turns out to be trash. So, like, it's probably just load up on Force of Vigors, maybe 3 to 4 Force of Vigors. I think Slip Out the Back, Stubborn Denial. I think these cards are still reasonable. I think the main card we missed was Stony Silence this league. So bringing in like 2 or 3 copies of that could also be quite nice. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know what you think of the deck in the comment section below, because I definitely need feedback. This league did not go well. Maybe it just turns out that this card is a bit troll for us and we shouldn't be playing it. But definitely eager to hear from you guys. Thank you all very much for watching up until the end of this very long and unsuccessful video. Till next time, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you then.